It is.
He's going, I got a junior high game tonight.
We'll open the meeting then by review of the minutes and anyway, have any comments or questions about the minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve. I make a motion to approve. Motion to approve. I hear a second.
Second.
Is the camera rolling?
Yes. She turned it
A
on.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carried. Reports from committees. Every committee report,
Audit is not met.
when you're meeting next.
We do not currently have one unless there's some things that I want to discuss later on, but I don't know really which committees that it needs to go to, so. Everybody's.
David, you got a codes and zoning.
Yeah, on Thursday at 6 o'clock here in the mayor's office, we're gonna be meeting. We're gonna go over the ordinance that came out of planning that I passed out to everyone on the building facade materials. This will only apply for commercial and industrial, for new building of commercial and industrial. And it'll only be on the street facing side. So if you're building a building on a corner lot that faces two different roads, the 60% would apply to both sides that face the road. But it is only 60% has to be the approved. So it's not the whole building has to be brick or the whole building has to be stone. We were looking at, as we were going through this, about 90% of our buildings along McMurray already meet this requirement, although they wouldn't have to be grandfathered in. But they're already at the 60, if not 70% preferred. And so as we were going through this, we were kind of trying to maintain an even look to the buildings. And I think the committee really has spent a lot of time. No one 100% agreed on any one part of this. There were a lot of votes that were split. So I think it was a real good working of all members to kind of come up with this. I'm excited to see what code and zoning look at, whether they actually make any adjustments, any suggestions to it. And then we've got another batch of zoning. I think we're just doing either agricultural or residential that Rick has been in, and we're gonna start going through that. He's gonna start sending those for each meeting as we just kind of work through those. I'm really hoping at the rate we're going, we might have a finished product to look at by January. We're really making some real good headway. What he's into now, most of it is the same, 90% of it. So he's just combining the two, and it doesn't really have any changes or complications. There are a few things that he's bringing to us. The charter states when they brought in this as the zoning ordinances from both the city and the county, that if there's ever a conflict, the more restrictive wins. So that's what we're doing. Anytime there's a conflict between them, whatever the more restrictive is, that's what we're going as we combine it. So that we're not deviating from what already is law. We're just trying to clean it up, not create anything new. That should be it for that meeting. Okay.
Leslie,
We have not met since the commission meeting. I have a tentative next meeting, October 11th.
Mr. Davis sent me 3 reports today on numbers.
Excellent. Good reports.
Just reports of numbers. I had asked him not to appoint a chief of rescue until we had time for consultant who's working on combining with it and we'll be able to agree to that. So that's kind of how we'll be discussing it. What are we going to, before these things finance, so then we're going to be meeting on at the next work session to fully discuss wheel tax. That's you, brother?
Yeah,
we usually meet on the 18th. It's our next budget meeting. Because of the other work sessions right after that, I guess we do it all in.
We're gonna discuss it in both of those, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The wheel tax is on the agenda for
I
that.
think so.
I think Landon has some good news there.
I hadn't talked to him. I don't-
I think they're expecting after a number of miscarriages, she's pretty far along this thing, isn't she?
I signed it.
I'm excited. Mr. Burke,
No meeting, and my next meeting will depend on a phone call here that I guess you received from the sheriff today.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll follow up with the sheriff and we'll see if all that gets taken care of. If not, I'll schedule a meeting this month.
well, Dennis, move right along.
July the 20th was the last person on, we was waiting on. Meeting of. Some of the county departments, county heads, things of that nature, get more information. And a couple of those items that we were meeting about, we did not have a meeting in August. And the meeting for September is pending.
Good works.
We haven't had a meeting since our county commission meeting either, and I hadn't scheduled one. I probably tried to schedule one in the month. I haven't scheduled any yet. Okay, can you just give us an update from the
Yeah,
courthouse?
I was at the courthouse the other day and all the rooms were comfortably cool. Cliff took me on a walk through and he is putting together a list for Mr. Beller to send to train. There are a couple of places where returns are such that you can stand and look by and see outside. Okay, where you're losing air. The boiler, they cut it up pieces, but it's still down there in pieces too big to move. Tony Gully was there while we were there, and there are a number of harnesses that were put up correctly to carry those gas pipes. And so, they still haven't paid, the gentleman they hired to put the ceiling, tiles in. And so Cliff is gonna make a detailed list that Mr. Gold included in his letter to say these things have to be done. Is that what you understand?
Yes, I spoke with him today and we went back over through the punch list that we had did from the walkthrough and I'm working on trying to compile some things and assure with Cliff that those items have not been done and what he sees versus what I see to make sure that we're on the same page that that punch list has not been completed.
And I understand, someone sent me a text today that said Lynn McInnes from the state would be doing the walkthrough this week.
Supposed to be. I
Electrical
do like,
second. Was that from you?
no, it was not,
Okay.
but yes,
But
I am aware of that.
Tony said he would be putting a lot of red tags on, it, so
Mhm.
we're closing in, on it, but the system is working, and it seemed comfortable everywhere. So,
Do you had any correspondence with that guy from training or rep?
I reckon he came up again, but, it's, Cliff has said 2 or 3 times that he's just about had it, well, he's had.
Mhm.
So you sometimes do things when you get sick and tired, but when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I think that's where he is, so. That list,
So then you back to the very
And they started last September, right? So we had
yeah,
a meeting in there.
next.
I thought, Train has this came from the county mayor's conference, but Train has a big program they roll out to schools where they'll come in and say, we'll replace your entire HVAC system and we'll save you this amount of money because of efficiency. And if we don't save you this amount of money, we'll pay it ourselves. So that's kind of a hook. And I've talked to the Robertson County mayor and evidently they bought into that program. He said it's for a train for it. So they just don't have a great reputation out there for doing projects, and they make lots of promises that they keep, but we're aware of that. That's the.
So you think we'll have all this together and my letter from Beller in the next few weeks?
Yeah,
Well, we need to be moving.
the letter will go done.
Okay.
For sure.
What about our Blue Cross Blue Shield project, do we need to have a meeting?
No, she'll be moving forward with that. She's gonna make that application.
So the master plan and the input, we got some community will work for that, or we need to get
I
some
think it
meetings?
will, but if it doesn't, we'll get it. Like someone, the Parker family asked me today, I'm assuming I know we've saved the wood pieces. There was a bronze plaque down there, as far as I know, Cliff took care of it too. I mean, he didn't do anything with it. I noticed the auction, somebody says not going to, is that online?
Yeah,
They were just offering a few dollars for the pieces.
Oh, like the playground equipment?
yeah, and they sell some other stuff from the county, like I will, for a few things, so.
You know, just minor few dollars for stuff, but it'll get it done. I'm assuming they might have to come get it. Okay, any other community reports?
What about, inside the drug justice center, where is any progress been made on any of that stuff, we're still waiting on?
I don't know, we'll have to. Oh, what about the revised EMS rating?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay, we've had three county employees that have taken ambulance rides lately, and one called me about being charged. Did we change that rate?
I thought it was already a rule. I don't know anything about this. I don't even know why.
Did we have a resolution back last year where we took that away?
I do not recall it coming out. I know there was some discussion on it.
We
but-
changed the write-off policy on being able to write off. But there's a resolution or an ordinance one on that county employees don't have to pay for an ambulance ride. Nor do elected officials it's a separate ordinance, not a write-off policy.
Maybe, was it just you and I? Maybe we have found that.
I found that when I didn't get a bill, because I
Right.
rode in the ambulance and I didn't get a bill, and I was like, why didn't I get a bill? And it was because I was an elected official and didn't have to pay it, and so then I found that ordinance, and that's a separate ordinance from the resolution that we changed about the write-offs.
So how did we change it to?
We changed the process for writing off,
Okay,
that's all we did. They have to send it to the committee and you to approve the write-off.
so if an employee does an ambulance ride, and that write-off comes to the committee and.
Mhm.
It wouldn't even, it's already in the ordinance, it's already on there, it wouldn't even have to come to us.
So it wasn't taken out.
No, absolutely not.
Mhm.
But I can research and find that and make sure.
There were some questions.
I get one a month.
Huh?
I get one a month,
Well, I got a call from one,
An
and
ambulance?
Bill.
Oh,
I got a call from your wife, and I assured her that she would have to pay it.
Really?
I assured her she would have to pay it because of,
absolutely not, they're not,
Yeah.
I
they're,
get a bill on this.
Mhm.
well, we can stop that.
yeah, that's,
You haven't paid it, have you?
I hope, well, if she called you, I doubt if she's paid it.
I told her it'd be taken care of.
I will find that and email it to you, and you can,
Please.
tomorrow.
I think.
No, that's their proposed amendment.
This resolution was amendment to fix it, and I don't.
It's already on, I don't think we need it, but I will research that tomorrow, I will. I don't know.
Okay, jail update, I will tell you that, I have found the person to do the initial phase one environmental part on the building over there. Then as soon as phase one is completed, we'll go to phase two. I'll be ordering probably a sort of evaluation of the building. And also to bring in a construction engineer. We'll just do that step by step. A number of people have asked me for numbers not important at this point until we find out if the building will work or not.
Right.
And I'm going to see a couple of jails myself. I'm going to tell them I'm gonna be in the Chattanooga area in a couple of weeks and use the jail down there. We'll see. So that's kind of where we are on that. There's just gonna be a month or two or three of digging and finding out where we are and getting numbers to Mr. Langford so he can put a number on the jail.
we took a pretty good hit today with that storm that blew through town and old sycamore tree. I don't know if anybody knows that old sycamore tree that's behind jail, ways on top of the jail. So, we took a pretty good hit, quite a bit of water in one of the cells. They tarped it tonight. I guess you're gonna start cutting on the tree tomorrow and really see what the damage is, but.
He says he's got somebody gonna come on.
Half of it's in the creek and half of it's on top of the jail. Some kitchen vents were damaged. I guess Darren brought his crew out there to beat them back into place.
Well, that's true with this big inmate population, or they said not unless it rains a lot, you can still be okay.
Yeah.
We need to keep moving forward and Mr.
What was that tree been?
How long?
I was empty down there in the eighties,
Still there?
I've got some big trees in my yard.
I started in 88.
It's split right down the middle, halfway in the creek, halfway on top of the jail.
And so I think you go over talk to Lightning come.
Yeah.
Yes, I think he's gonna be there tomorrow morning, so. And Derek can get up there on the roof and go and see what's going on. Give me a little looking around, pushing branches around.
Bruce said he talked to the insurance company and they're right on top of it.
Sweet, you better.
They'll be coming to do it. Will tax discussion is going to come up in, work session. Any comments on this committee tonight, what you're hearing?
Nobody I've talked to wants it.
But then again, they're all non-property owners that I've talked to, and that's why they don't.
Not the case. for
I think
me.
$100,
Property
I think
owners.
$100.
That's the thing, I mean, I brought that up before, I think it's, you go back to the 60 like it was, or 40 or whatever it was, 40, but that's only thing I've heard is
I think.
too much.
And then you're
From
still
what
gonna
I'm
have to
hearing,
raise property tax.
Exactly. Well, I think we're gonna have to raise property taxes anyway.
If you can't raise it enough to be a significant income to the county to help with projects, there's no reason to even it out.
I'm thinking 60 would probably fly, and then 2 or 3 years if we have to go to school and we can raise it then, but it's gonna be hard.
I was thinking more 60.
The last wheel tax, was it split to different categories or it went all?
Straight to the
Straight to the-
Correct.
And if we're only doing 60, I think you're gonna have to do it all to one, because you're not gonna have enough income to be able to split it.
The people that I've talked to don't care about the split.
Yeah.
They,
And
if this is what if we're doing it for the jail, then it needs to go to the jail.
I'll tell you something else that's gonna be hard for the general public to grasp, in my opinion, is that we build these satellite fire stations that you're gonna get your money back, you know, to work through that. You know, you see what I'm saying, Will, to walk through that process.
Show it to me and then make it happen.
So, listen, what do you
The
think?
fire stations are their important piece as far as the reduction of those out in the county to their homeowners insurance policy, but the bigger issue is gonna be the water. The lines.
Because you're gonna have to upgrade those lines, it's not gonna be much good.
The water piece is what we cook the most off of. And that's something that I have learned since the last time I spoke about it. The satellite fire stations will help the water pressure is.
Well, you gotta get not just water pressure, but you gotta get the 4 inches up to at least 6 inches.
And fire hydrants.
And y'all, is the more time I meet with these other mayors, there is so much money out there, available, you know, how to find it and how to get it.
Can't really run it.
You know, I'm leaning toward finding a really good grant writer and just paying, they let them make them do that.
We can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it.
We applied for the chamber applied for this 3-star grant. And I don't think he applied for the match, but we got the match, 50,000. to spend in the chamber in downtown, and then we got the 25,000 from English from Florida. And I saw the one mayor who had a special trash campaign, and he told me how many tons of trash they brought in. And he said, and we gave away 350 tarps. They're so popular. And I said, what'd that cost? He said, nothing. Grant covered it all. And so they have this thing where everybody comes in, brings out the trash, you get free tarps. And they're just, you just gotta find out these programs.
Ever since I got here. I mean, oh, yes.
And it's not just a grant writer, but a grant administrator.
I know, and that's where,
Because there's a lot involved in that.
that's where
You
my
don't think.
GNRC is loves to do these grants because they take a hefty administration.
And we could actually save a little money if we did it in-house versus having GMRC.
What would it cost to get a grant writer for our county? You have any idea?
A good one?
A good one, yeah.
It probably cost $100,000. They make it for sure, they make it up.
They'd be paying for themselves.
Anthony Holt, who's the former mayor, and who's now the executive director of the Mayor's Association, put me on somebody, and I have not gotten them to answer me back. If they take this as a part-time job, evidently she's just, and you know, even EMA down there, they got a $3 or $4 million grant to do that,
Facility.
that station. They've got a,
He was talking about all the grants.
Yeah.
We got grants for every piece of equipment he's got in there.
you seen that,
We went down there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
like $3 million
I'm thinking,
mobile station.
yes, we walked through that
It was
thing.
all
It was
grants. It was all grants.
fantastic.
I mean, that one bus is nicer than our whole EMS system.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
You know, we have the relationship that we have is very important because they have all this stuff. And they're willing to help us in situations of major.
But if we could get a grant writer, then we can do stuff too.
And we wouldn't have to raise taxes to get it.
No worries.
And there are companies that you just pay consulting fee and we're right there. So you can research that. It's on the list.
It's on that, man.
It's on the list. Okay, any other business, y'all?
I have some,
You know,
the community center,
what?
the community center.
Okay.
The rentals.
Okay.
I guess mainly to the fees.
You wanna go up?
I think they should,
Oh,
because like it said, you know, and the other issue is I'm hearing that. I guess Odell is having some, and I talked to Cliff about it. Some issues with some that do not want to be out of there by 10 PM.
I talked to the others with them.
And,
I think they were still there at 11 o'clock last week.
that just makes it hard for him to clean it if it's gotta be, you know, I mean,
For the next day.
for the next day, if somebody's got it at 8 o'clock in the morning, I mean, it's either you go
Yeah.
late at night, or you go, and I know that's part of his duties, but still, you know. I think in this circumstance, this past weekend. To my knowledge, their fee is waived because of the circumstances. And I know that's kind of like a touchy subject, but it's waived and I have no objections to it. But I think if their fee is waived and they're gonna stay there till 10 or after, then they should have the responsibility for the cleanup of it and having it prepared of how it was when they came in.
And Odell even talked about that they give up their deposit if they go over their time limit. He said that was their intention, and so that.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, I don't know how we need to go about it, and I know some of the issues that were brought to me, that there's been some smoking and some alcoholic beverages in and out of there, and there's not supposed to be, it says it's strictly in the rental agreement.
That's different.
It's different, no,
It's
not the
different.
same, not the same incident, different incidents, totally different
But
incidents.
who's supposed to police that?
They
Well-
just don't get their deposit back then, right?
That's what I would hope, but if they're called, but
But who's gonna catch?
Yeah.
We probably need some.
Tendencies,
We
no
probably need
different
some
than
absolute
funds.
facts in there that say absolutely no alcohol. Premises that probably take care of that.
right,
In most places like that, you have really nice.
like a plaque or
licenses.
something.
Just something needs to go to the public works or.
That's what I was wondering, I would say that it would need to go to public works, so for your next meeting, if you can.
Now, this,
Bring that to
this,
the agenda.
this order thing is after the ball game, so the ball game's probably not over what, till 9:30.
9 or 9:30, just to
We
be,
might talk to them about giving them an extra 30 minutes so they have an hour, but not later.
Are they doing that over that?
We spent 40
I know they don't know where, but on, but delays that one year.
Right,
And
and
it's
they're,
probably what, 3 or 4 ball games a year, something, but
they got it for, well, I can tell you, cause I have the calendars. Cause I was trying to figure out what the issue was, and so I had requested for them, Sorry. They've got it for,
3 in September.
right, 3 in September, and I don't have what's already scheduled for October. I mean, like, the lady that sets up the clothing and stuff in there. I'm not objecting to maybe keeping it for somebody that rents it multiple days at a different price versus a single day.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, even when she comes in, I've been in there and she's not using the water, she's, you know, I mean, just bathrooms. You know, she's not cutting on the stoves or the warmers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or running the dishwasher, you know, but a lot of these others are.
Mhm.
And I mean, $100 just that don't even pay for the utilities or even cleaning,
Right.
and the carpet looks awful.
I'll try to get with her for all later, or I mean, so I can get a date sometime in this month, and I need to get the fees and all that.
Yeah,
scheduled.
but later.
And
Yeah,
maybe
You know,
yeah.
alcohol, smoking, alcohol,
Yeah.
smoking.
Each point you made is well taken. I mean, you're right. I think we're good, because Odell met me. He'd been watering the flowers out front. He said, "Man, they were in here late last night and playing cornhole."
How much is the fee now?
It's $100,
Pay 200, then you get 100 back.
right? I mean, I don't know if you store, you know, I've seen where people have stuck, I know y'all probably seen, there's some spots on the walls where you're not supposed to stick stuff. It's like.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe, I know it's kind of tacky, but I don't know, maybe you put a sign up in there with all the rules on it. Maybe even in the kitchen.
And you see that in a lot of
You
places.
do, you see it in the, like either in a
Outside
kitchen,
The bathrooms, you can put it right there.
right there or something, some kind of,
Yeah, we need to put.
that has it up
Just
there.
a tastefully put together sign. It just.
And I paid for it, and I didn't sign it. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I think that needs to be done for certain. for the-
Did you book it online?
I came in and wrote a check.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll be on that. What else? Anything else?
That's all I have, I'm sorry. I just think that some things that might need to be addressed.
This is the place to bring it up and talk about it. Anything else? No public here to comment, any? Any questions of the mayor? Anybody?
How much do you think it's gonna cost us on fees, like you said, it's environmental law, and how much is gonna just fees gonna cost us just?
Somebody told me, somebody said one day, but that phase one costs $10,000, it's more like 2,500, so that's not. It's not. I mean, if it's a big fee, I'll bring. I think it's under $10,000, people have to bid it, which brings me back to. Comes in zoning, I'm at a point to consider posting that gentleman.
Yeah, something I've been, had on my mind too, and I keep from reason, when are we gonna do
Which
something?
Rosalie will apply for, she's gonna have to have some help. I don't know if she would, if we go in another direction, if she would consider the second position, but I know she's very interested in the first position.
If you were to promote her up to that first position, you still gotta hire a replacement. So either way, you really need to post both.
And I want to talk to Rick Grigger about that. Before we go ahead and vote.
Is she done passed tests, she need to pass everything?
And she keeps going to the next levels. And I want to talk to planning. Is the GRC lady we got now as good as the one we had before?
Actually, she was the one before his boss, but she's still just the fill-in
Okay.
until they get us. But yeah, she was the supervisor for the one that we had, so she's been great. She's quick to come back with research that we asked for. She's been really helpful.
You got any names for the planning and for what Mr. Harper retired or?
Mr. A.B. Harper is considering it, but he's considered it. We're in ongoing discussions. think AB would be great. We'll do it. But I gotta talk to him. He's a busy man. And Mr. Kerr thought he'd be a great choice if he'll come to meetings, and that's.
Well, the great thing with planning is it's same time every month. So, not necessarily the same place, hoping we get back to the courthouse, but
Yeah.
it does make it easy to plan around and work your schedule.
I'm looking forward to having those name plates in front of everybody's name, so I can remember the name. I could not think of Mark Price's name.
Are we
I
going
think
to
you,
different
you'll be able to run the meeting a whole lot better with their team. You'll see, and I mean, it's just hard to do it from where you sit there.
Are we doing that this month?
Uh,
Are we going there this
I
month?
can't promise.
Oh, my.
I like to say we could.
So they done got our seating charts already, you know,
Yeah, Andy's got it figured out. She-
Everything looks good. Looks good, ready to go. Anything else?
everybody took my seat last time, so I guess I'll take her.
I can have.
She was telling me that she tried to set it up where the members who are a little harder hearing are in the center up front where they can hear better.
That's
And
why we
then
had
the
it
taller
before.
ones are towards the back so that the short people can see. She took everything into consideration, trying to kind of lay everyone out where it would be beneficial for everyone. Not everyone's probably gonna be happy with where they're sitting, but she had a reason for everything.
They weren't last year, either. It should be all right.
That don't even bother me.
I'll entertain most to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second. So this motion's not debated. All in favor?
Aye.
Hit for the house.
I need to, public works meeting, I'll get with her tomorrow and see what's it.
Thank y'all for your time. Yes. The third is on the property.